Welcome to NovaSleep. Tonight we enter the hidden world that begins the moment your eyes close, a world where your mind ignores the rules of physics, bends time into impossible shapes, and creates people and places that never existed. For centuries we've treated dreams as mysteries, but science now reveals they are blueprints of memory, survival, and creativity. Every dream you forget, and every dream you remember, is the brain leaving behind a secret message about who you are and what you're becoming. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will change the way you think about every night of your life. By the way, if you like and subscribe to my video, this is the most effective way to support me. If you can tell me where in the world you are watching from and what time it is, I would love to read it in the comments. 1. The dreaming brain can exceed waking energy use. During vivid sleep, the cortex can burn through glucose at a rate that rivals intense daytime concentration. Networks that craft inner narrative and evaluate emotion surge together, which is as unusual while awake. Vision areas ignite even though the eyes are closed and the room is dark. This paradox creates the feeling that the dream has its own light and its own space, which explains why a dream can appear self-luminous and fully built, rather than faint or foggy. This energy is not random noise. Activity flows in waves that bind scattered memories into scenes. When emotional hubs link with memory hubs, the brain gives priority to personally meaningful material. The result is a theatre that is both private and efficient. The system spends where it expects the biggest return in learning and in emotional reset, which is why a short REM burst can feel strangely productive. The sense of realness comes from sensory maps that light up even without outside data. Vision maps paint edges, movement and faces. Sound maps activate when the mind invents music or voices. Touch maps add sides, weight and pressure to footsteps and handshakes, which makes a dream handshake feel solid, even though the muscles do not move. When the frontal control systems relax, the rest of the brain explores combinations that waking life would veto. This is costly in energy but useful in originality. The brain is not idling. It is searching the maze of experience for shortcuts, patterns, and better stories to live by. That search produces images and feelings that seem extravagant, yet often leave behind clear insights by morning. 2. Dream time often stretches far beyond clock time. 10 minutes of REM can feel like a long afternoon because the brain edits out dull transitions. Awake life is full of waiting, walking, and small delays. Dream life jumps from a door to a destination with the empty minutes removed. Without those gaps, the mind perceives a dense stream of events and the estimate of duration appends. The inner clock in dreams follows the rhythm of brainwaves more than the wall clock. When scenes are packed with emotional peaks, the waves speed and bind more frames per moment. The brain counts the frames, not the seconds. A parade of intense frames reads as a long story. This is why a dramatic dream can feel epic even though the alarm rings minutes after it begins. Memory stitching also stretches time. The mind inserts flashbacks and previews with no lead-in. The viewer experiences not a line but a loop that revisits a memory from different angles. Each angle feels like new time, even if it covers the same event. That layering gives the sense of hours lived inside a brief window of sleep. People trained in lucid techniques can sometimes check time by prearranged eye signals. The counts line up with actual minutes more than the feeling of minutes. The lesson is simple. Dream time is not a lie, it is a measure built from density of experience. The denser the inner movie, the longer it feels. 3. People blind from birth can dream with spatial images. Reports from people blind since birth often include rich maps of space even if they never saw light. The brain builds space from sound, touch, motion and memory. When sleep lifts those systems into rehearsal, the mind can walk through a hallway or track a moving voice as if seeing its path. The map is real, although the inputs are different. During dreams, the hearing cortex and motion cortex converse in ways that waking tasks rarely allow. Echoes, footsteps, and airflow become landmarks. A cool draft means a window. A hard change underfoot means a threshold. The brain uses these cues to infer room size and object layout. The dream then renders that layout as a navigable world that feels visual even without sight. Touch memories expand the scene. The texture of a table, the height of a shelf, the stretch to reach a cupboard become anchors that hold the dream geometry in place. The person moves through this grid with confidence because the brain predicts what comes next. Prediction is the essence of both vision and audition. Dreams exploit that shared skill. Such dreams refute the idea that images require eyes. The mind is a map maker first and a camera second. In sleep, the map replays and upgrades itself. The person wakes with a stronger sense of their spaces, which can translate into better mobility and a deeper comfort with unfamiliar rooms. 4. Shots of sudden eye signals map to scene changes in dreams. During REM, the eyes flick in sharp bursts that line up with shifts in the dream. These signals act like edits in a film. A left snap can match a cut to a new character entering from that side. A quick up and down can match a tilt from ground to sky. Polysomnography has captured this dance many times. The eyes write a silent caption track that mirrors the inner picture. The logic is straightforward. Even though the eyelids are closed, the brain still runs the eye control system. In waking life, those motors aim the fovea at points of interest. In sleep, the same motors track imagined points. The system behaves as if the images were outside. The dreaming brain treats its own pictures as world events and aims the eyes to follow them. This link explains why some dreamers wake with the feeling that the view never missed a beat. The camera of attention followed every reveal. It also hints at why dreams rarely stall on a vague blur. The oculomotor bursts push the scene to resolve. Each burst demands a target which forces the brain to paint a solid object or face where attention lands. Researchers have used agreed eye signals from lucid dreamers to mark moments on the sleep record. A planned left-right-left pattern can flag the start of an experiment inside the dream. This simple method lets the sleeper and the lab synchronize two worlds. The cut inside the dream leaves a trace outside on the graph. 5. Dreams help rewrite emotional memories without reliving pain. When a hard memory is replayed during sleep, the chemistry of the brain shifts. Stress transmitters like noradrenaline dip while serotonin and acetylcholine rise. The scene can be reviewed with less shock, which allows new links to form. The result is a memory that keeps the facts but loses the sting. People often wake with the same story yet a different feeling about it. This process is not erasure, it is an update. The mind asks what the event means now that time has passed. New context is woven into the old frame. A slight reframing can change future choices, which is the real purpose of memory. The dream offers a low-risk place to run that update since the body is still and the outside world is muted. Emotional centers like the amygdala interact with the hippocampus while frontal judgment steps back. This prevents over-analysis while the new links are fragile. It is like moving a plant to a new pot. You do not shake the stem while the roots are settling. By morning, the connections are stronger, and the person can think about the event with more flexibility. People sometimes notice that after a string of heavy nights, the same trigger no longer floods them. The brain did work while they slept. The story remains, but it no longer rules. This is not magical thinking. It is the nervous system doing maintenance on its own history, so that tomorrow can be lived with less drag. 6. Smell rarely appears in dreams, and that absence reveals how senses are filtered. Many dream reports are full of sight, sounds, and motion, yet almost empty of scent. The olfactory system is wired in a way that depends more on fresh input and less on inner replay. During sleep, the gate for smell is mostly closed. Without strong incoming odour, there is little data for the brain to reconstruct a convincing fragrance. When scent does appear, it is often because a real odour slipped into the room. Bread baking, coffee brewing, or a hint of smoke can be woven straight into the plot. The dream turns the raw signal into a kitchen, a cafe, or a campsite. This borrowing shows that the brain trusts smell as a live cue while off duty from sight. The scarcity of smell in dreams contrasts with the persistence of emotion. That contrast is useful. It reveals that the dream builder prioritizes signals that help with navigation and social reading. Vision and voice are top tools for those tasks. Smell is more about presence and safety, which matters less in a safe bedroom and more in waking life. There is a flip side. Because scent rarely appears, it can be striking when it does. A rare fragrance in a dream may point to a strong memory trace or to a real event in the room. Either way, the mind tags it as important. In narration, this detail can be used with care as a sign that the scene is crossing a boundary between inner image and outside world. 7. Sounds played softly during sleep can steer dream scenes. If a person learns with a certain sound, then hears that sound during REM, the brain often reactivates the related memory. This gentle cue is enough to nudge the dream toward that theme. A foreign word practiced with a chime can reappear in a dream when the chime plays later at low volume. The mind takes the hint and builds a scene where the word is used. This method does not wrench control, it tilts the odds. The brain still chooses its own story, but it favours the primed path. The key is subtle volume. Too loud and the sleeper wakes. Too soft and the cue is ignored. When placed well, the cue becomes a thread that pulls the sleeper back into material that is ready to consolidate. Creative goals can also be primed. People who sketch a problem before bed and pair it with a brief sound sometimes report dreams where the missing idea shows up. The cue acts as a bookmark that tells the brain where to reopen the file. Because dream space is freer with rules, the solution can appear in a form that was not obvious while awake. This technique shows that dreams are not sealed off. They are porous to small inputs, which means bedtime ritual matters. What you read, hear and rehearse in the last minutes can tilt the dream climate. A careful pre-sleep setup can make the inner night more useful and more interesting without force. 8. A dream created today can echo again 2 nights later. There is a known delay in how certain memories reappear in dreams. Material from day 1 is often quiet on night 1, then shows up on night 2. This dream lag suggests that the brain schedules processing in phases. Quick items are handled the same night. Deeper items wait for a specific timing when the chemistry and networks are best aligned. This pattern fits with the way memories consolidate across several sleep cycles. Early cycles save the gist. Later cycles refine details and emotion. A lag lets the system gather related events so they can be woven together. The dream on night 2 then feels richer as it draws from a wider pool of material. People notice this when a vivid place visited on the weekend returns in a midweek dream with more texture than the visit itself. Streets gain alleys, faces gain motives. The mind did not simply replay a recording, it built a new model that can predict how that place behaves if visited again. Knowing this timing helps explain why some topics resurface after they seem to fade. The brain was not done, it was staging the update. When the echo arrives, it is an invitation to pay attention. The system is showing its draft of a new understanding and asking whether it fits. 9. The body paralyzes itself so dreams do not become actions. During REM, the spinal cord receives a signal that dampens motor output. The large muscles relax and become unreliable, as if their batteries were pulled. This atonia keeps the sleeper from leaping out of bed during a chase or swinging an arm during an argument. Small twitches still occur while the big movers stay quiet. This safety feature gives the brain freedom to simulate danger without risk. The person can experience a sprint, a fight, or a climb with full emotion. The heart races, the breath quickens, yet the arms and legs remain still. The rehearsal writes strong memory without causing harm. Evolution tuned this system well because those who lacked it would wake injured. In rare moments, the mind wakes before the body. The person is aware but cannot move for a short span. Strange figures may be sensed at the bedside because its dream imagery bleeds into the room. This is unsettling yet temporary. The signals that lock the muscles release and control returns. Understanding the mechanism takes away much of the fear. The existence of atonia proves that the brain treats dreams as real tasks. It would not need to lock the body if dreams were forgettable noise. The lock is a vote of seriousness. The inner theatre matters enough to warrant a special safety mode every night. 10. In some disorders, people act out dreams while asleep. When the muscle lock fails, a sleeper can shout punch or leap in sync with the dream. This condition is called REM behavior disorder, and it turns the bedroom into a stage where the inner story is physically performed. Partners often report that the dreamer seems to defend against an attacker or rescue someone with brave yet dangerous moves. The disorder reveals the hidden force of dream emotion. The brainstem circuits that should silence muscles are not doing their job. Without that break, the body follows the script. This is not a choice or a habit. It is a wiring problem that needs assessment because injuries can occur from falls or collisions during the night. Researchers have noted that this pattern can appear years before other signs of certain neurological changes. That does not mean every active dreamer will face such a future. It does mean the sleep system is a sensitive gauge of brain health. Early observation allows planning and protection, which reduces harm to both the sleeper and the partner. Understanding this disorder also clarifies how normal sleep works. Healthy nights require both vivid inner movies and strong outer stillness. The grace of sleep is that it lets the mind travel at full speed while the body rests. When the link breaks, the lesson is visible. The cure is to restore the lock so that the journey can continue in safety. 11. Dreams happen in non-REM sleep as well. It is a common misconception that dreams only occur during REM sleep, when the brain is most active and the eyes dart beneath the lids. Yet scientists have confirmed that non-REM sleep also produces dreams, though these are usually shorter, simpler, and more fragmented. Unlike the colourful, surreal narratives of REM sleep, non-REM dreams often resemble brief flashes, disconnected images, or static-like thoughts. They may not feel like stories at all, but they still demonstrate that dreaming is not confined to just one stage of sleep. The role of non-REM dreams appears to be tied to the consolidation of factual knowledge and the quiet stabilization of memories. During these deeper stages of sleep, the brain strengthens neural connections related to tasks, information, and skills learned during the day. For example, a student who has spent hours memorizing vocabulary words may not dream of flying or being chased during non-REM sleep, but instead may experience brief flashes of those very words or concepts. The dreams themselves may feel unremarkable, yet their hidden function is vital. They help preserve what we learn. One of the reasons people rarely recall non-REM dreams is that they lack the vivid emotional charge that makes REM dreams memorable. Emotional intensity tends to burn images into long-term memory, but the calmer, more neutral tone of non-REM dreams makes them slip away upon waking. Despite this, when researchers deprive subjects of non-REM sleep, they find that memory suffers, even if REM sleep remains intact. This indicates that both dream types are necessary, each contributing differently to how the mind organizes experience. Understanding non-REM dreams challenges the oversimplified idea that dreaming is purely about surreal stories. Instead, the dreaming brain is at work across all stages of sleep, switching purposes like a skilled craftsman using different tools. REM dreams may provide the emotional context, but non-REM dreams lay the scaffolding. Together, they form a complete cycle in which imagination, logic, and memory blend to create a mind ready to face the following day. 12. The brain rehearses social interactions while dreaming. Dreams often pull us into vivid social scenarios, sometimes with people we know and sometimes with strangers we've never met. These imagined encounters are not arbitrary. Human beings are profoundly social, and the brain uses dreams as a kind of stage to rehearse conversations, arguments, reconciliations, and confrontations. By practicing these events in a safe virtual environment, we strengthen our capacity to handle complex relationships in waking life. When you dream of confronting someone who wronged you, or of reconnecting with a distant friend, the brain is simulating scenarios that have real emotional weight. This rehearsal allows us to experience both the tension and relief of social dynamics without the consequences of real-world mistakes. Dreams of rejection, acceptance, leadership, or exclusion all serve as experiments that fine-tune how we behave in groups. They prepare us for possible outcomes and give us a wider emotional vocabulary for future encounters. From a neurological perspective, this process is supported by the same regions that activate when we navigate real relationships: the medial prefrontal cortex, which processes social judgment, and the temporoparietal junction, which helps us understand the perspectives of others. These areas remain active during sleep, suggesting that the brain is still engaged in practicing empathy, moral decisions, and predictions about how others might react. Seen this way, dreams are not just bizarre nighttime theatre. They are an ancient survival tool, allowing humans to rehearse one of the most dangerous and rewarding arenas of life: social interaction. A misstep in real life could damage relationships or reputation, but in dreams, the cost is nothing. The practice, however, is real, and it leaves subtle traces that shape how we deal with people when we wake. 13. Dream narratives hide limits of working memory. Dreams often feel rich and endless, yet when examined closely they reveal surprising gaps and inconsistencies. Characters appear and vanish without explanation, conversations trail off, and entire settings change in an instant. This instability mirrors the limitations of working memory, the part of the mind that can hold only a few pieces of information at once. Dreams expose how fragile this system really is, even though they disguise it within flowing storylines. What happens is that the brain continuously fills in the blanks, smoothing over the gaps so the dream feels coherent while it is happening. You may dream of walking through a city, yet when asked afterward, you cannot describe what most of the buildings looked like. The brain sketches only what is necessary to sustain the illusion of reality, leaving vast portions unrendered. This is not failure, it is efficiency. The dream saves energy by building just enough of a world for the mind to believe in it. Dream narratives therefore show us the limits of conscious detail, while also demonstrating the brain's extraordinary ability to improvise. If you suddenly look at a sign in a dream, the brain generates letters on the spot. If you need a new street to escape a pursuer, one appears. The experience feels seamless, but the underlying truth is that the dream is being assembled in real time, from fragments of memory and imagination, as fast as you can notice them. Understanding this reveals why dreams can feel both endless and fragile. They are a window into the limitations of working memory, which can only juggle so much at once. Yet rather than collapse under those limits, the brain turns them into narrative, hiding the flaws with creativity. This is why dreams are simultaneously strange, patchy, and yet strangely believable. 14. The face area in the brain lights up when strangers appear in dreams. One of the most remarkable findings in neuroscience is that the fusiform face area, a region specialized for recognizing faces, activates strongly when we dream about people. Even when the faces are of strangers, people we may not consciously remember seeing, the brain generates complete images with expressions, ages, and emotional tones. These dream characters are constructed from fragments of every face we have ever encountered, stitched together into believable new people. The fact that this specialized brain area becomes active during sleep shows how seriously the mind treats social imagery. Even without external input, the brain devotes processing power to building human likenesses, suggesting that social recognition is one of the most fundamental tasks we engage in. This explains why so many dreams revolve around conversations, family gatherings, or unexpected meetings with strangers. There is also evidence that these generated faces serve a psychological purpose. A stranger in a dream may embody an aspect of ourselves that we do not consciously acknowledge. They may represent hidden traits, unresolved conflicts, or even qualities we admire or fear. By animating these faces, the brain gives form to inner material that would otherwise remain abstract. The detail with which strangers appear, wrinkles, eye color, hair texture, proves that the brain has an immense archive of fragments ready to be recombined. The dream stage becomes a gallery of humanity, showcasing not only the people we know but also the anonymous faces our mind has recorded and forgotten. Dreams remind us that the brain is always watching, surveying, and reshaping the human world around us. 15. Dreamers often forget 9 parts out of 10 within minutes. One of the most puzzling aspects of dreaming is how quickly it fades after waking. Studies show that within 5 minutes, people forget up to half of their dream content, and within 10 minutes, up to 90% can vanish. This rapid forgetting is linked to the way memory consolidation works during sleep. Dreams are stored temporarily in short-term memory, but unless transferred to long-term storage upon waking, they slip away. Part of the reason is chemical. During REM sleep, levels of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter tied to memory encoding, are unusually low. This creates a paradox. While dreams are vivid and emotionally intense, the brain is not in a mode that favors long-term storage. The result is a cascade of images and events that feel unforgettable in the moment, yet dissolve as soon as consciousness returns. Another factor is attention. When we wake, the sensory flood of the real world takes priority. Light, sound, movement, and tasks override the fragile trace of the dream, wiping it away like chalk in the rain. Only the dreams that carry deep emotional weight, or that we deliberately rehearse upon waking, tend to survive. This is why keeping a dream journal can dramatically increase recall. The forgetting is not failure but function. By discarding most of the content, the brain prevents overload, keeping only what is useful. The loss of detail ensures that we are not haunted by endless fragments, but instead carry forward only the distilled lessons or impressions. Dreams may feel fleeting, but their effect can persist even when their content is gone. 16. Video game players report more lucid dreams. Researchers found that people who frequently play video games are more likely to experience lucid dreams than those who do not. This makes sense when you consider the similarities between video games and dream environments. Both involve navigating through virtual spaces, solving problems, and reacting to rapidly changing scenarios. The familiarity with switching between real and fictional worlds seems to train the brain to question reality more easily, which increases the chance of realizing one is dreaming. Gamers often encounter recurring dream motifs such as gaining powers, controlling environments, or viewing the dream in third-person perspective much like in games. This level of detachment provides a natural foundation for lucid awareness, where the dreamer recognizes the dream without waking up. For them, entering a lucid dream can feel like simply stepping into another interactive simulation, one that has always been part of their nightly experience. Lucid dreaming provides advantages beyond entertainment. It can allow dreamers to confront fears, practice real-world skills, or explore creativity. Gamers who already train themselves to adapt quickly to unpredictable challenges bring that adaptability into their dream state. This means they can push further into the lucid dream without losing stability, staying immersed while retaining control. The link between gaming and dreams also demonstrates how waking experiences directly shape the architecture of dream life. The more time a person spends immersed in alternate realities while awake, the more flexible their brain becomes in shifting between different states of consciousness. Dreams reflect this flexibility, often rewarding gamers with deeper levels of awareness and control. 17. A sleeping brain solves puzzles it could not solve while awake. History offers many examples of breakthroughs that arrived in dreams. Scientists, inventors, and artists have awakened with solutions that eluded them during the day. This is because the dreaming brain reorganizes information in non-linear ways, connecting fragments that might never meet in waking thought. Freed from the rigid rules of logic enforced by the prefrontal cortex, the brain makes leaps that suddenly reveal an answer. During sleep, especially REM, the brain replays and reshapes the problems we struggled with. A mathematician may dream of numbers dancing in unusual patterns, or a musician might hear an original melody. These visions are not random, they are the result of the brain cross-linking distant neural networks, allowing creativity to flourish where conscious effort failed. Many experiments confirm that people perform better on complex problem-solving tasks after a night of sleep compared to staying awake. The reason this works is because the dream environment removes immediate pressure. In waking life, frustration and anxiety block progress. In sleep, however, the mind can explore solutions without stress. It is as if the brain is running simulations in the background, unconcerned with deadlines or failure. This state of freedom allows new ideas to emerge, sometimes in startlingly complete form. This ability reveals why dreams feel both strange and useful. Their oddness is exactly what lets the mind approach problems from angles never considered before. Far from being mere entertainment, dreams are laboratories of invention, quietly building bridges that waking logic cannot. 18. Dreams can warn about fever or migraine before waking symptoms. There are documented cases where dreams foreshadow physical illness, often with surprising accuracy. People have reported dreaming of fire, heat, or burning sensations the night before a fever began. Others dream of pressure, explosions, or flashing lights just before a migraine strikes. These warning signals arise because the body's internal changes begin during sleep, and the brain weaves them into dream imagery. The immune system and nervous system communicate constantly even while we sleep. Subtle rises in body temperature, changes in blood flow, or shifts in chemical balance are detected by the brain. Since the dreaming mind translates information into symbolic imagery, physical sensations become transformed into visual or emotional metaphors. A fever may be experienced as walking through flames, while rising blood pressure could appear as an approaching storm. This phenomenon shows that dreams are not sealed away from the body. They are sensitive to what is happening internally. In fact, they may serve as one of the earliest detection systems for illness, long before conscious symptoms emerge. Some physicians and psychologists have noted that patients sometimes report strange health-related dreams just before medical conditions are diagnosed. By paying attention to these signals, people may gain valuable insight into their physical state. While not every odd dream predicts illness, recurring patterns tied to bodily discomfort can alert us to changes worth noticing. Dreams, therefore, may function as subtle messengers of the body's hidden struggles. 19. Morning dreams tend to be longer and more vivid. Sleep cycles repeat throughout the night, but REM periods grow progressively longer toward morning. The first cycle may only have a few minutes of REM, while later cycles can last for an hour. As a result, the dreams we have closer to waking are often richer, more elaborate, and easier to recall. Morning dreams can feel like entire movies, with multiple scenes, characters, and storylines woven together. Another reason they feel vivid is that the brain is transitioning toward wakefulness, which allows more memory encoding. levels of neurotransmitters like norepinephrine and serotonin rise as the body prepares to wake, giving these late dreams a stronger chance of being remembered. This is why many people wake with the memory of a long, detailed dream, even though they may have had many forgotten ones earlier in the night. Morning dreams also draw more heavily on recent experiences from the prior day. The brain seems to process fresh memories with greater intensity in these later REM cycles. You might dream about a conversation you had the evening before or a movie you just watched. The proximity of waking consciousness and recent memory makes these dreams feel especially relevant. For this reason, keeping a dream journal by the bed is most effective when used in the early morning hours. Writing down what lingers from these final dream episodes helps capture the most coherent and detailed material the sleeping brain produces. Morning dreams, therefore, serve as both the climax of the night's work and the easiest gateway into dream recall. 20. The hippocampus replays recent days in compressed form during sleep. The hippocampus, the brain's key memory hub, is known to replay recent experiences during sleep, often in a compressed and accelerated way. A long day's events can be condensed into a short dream sequence, like watching a highlight reel. This replay ensures that important information is transferred into long-term memory and that irrelevant details are discarded. In studies with animals, researchers have observed that neurons in the hippocampus fire in the same sequence during sleep that they did while the animal was awake. This means that the brain is literally rerunning its experiences, but at faster speeds. A rat that explored a maze during the day will redream the maze at night, strengthening its memory of the layout. Humans show similar activity, though our replays are often disguised as symbolic dream stories. This compression explains why dream time feels distorted. Hours of waking activity can be folded into minutes of dream narrative. The hippocampus efficiently organizes the day's fragments, linking them with older memories and creating a stronger web of associations. What feels like a surreal scene in a dream may actually represent several real events merged into one symbolic sequence. The importance of this process cannot be overstated. Without hippocampal replay, new experiences would quickly fade, leaving us unable to learn from our days. Dreams are not passive entertainment. They are memory workshops where the brain reviews, edits, and secures the story of our lives. 21. The brain tags emotional memories during REM for later learning. During REM sleep, emotional centers of the brain, such as the amygdala, interact strongly with the hippocampus. This partnership ensures that emotionally charged memories are given priority in storage. A fight, a joyful surprise, or an embarrassing moment may all appear in dreams, not because they are random, but because the brain is flagging them as important for survival or identity. These memories are not stored exactly as they happened. Instead, they are blended with other experiences and replayed in symbolic form. This allows the emotional intensity to be processed in a safer, indirect way. For example, instead of dreaming of the exact argument you had, you may dream of a storm or a collapsing building, metaphors for conflict and instability. The underlying feeling is retained, but the imagery is altered to allow the brain to work with it more freely. This tagging process is essential for adaptation. It ensures that lessons tied to strong emotions are not easily forgotten. If something frightened you, the brain wants to remember that situation and rehearse responses. If something delighted you, the brain may reinforce it to guide future choices. Dreams therefore act as a filter that distinguishes which memories deserve more attention and which can be quietly discarded. By waking with these emotional dreams, people often feel a lingering sense of meaning, even if the details fade. That sense itself is the result of REM tagging, a subtle but powerful reminder that emotions shape the memories we carry forward. 22. Pregnancy often brings unusually vivid dreams. Pregnant women frequently report dreams that are more intense, bizarre, or emotionally charged than usual. This phenomenon is influenced by hormonal changes, disrupted sleep patterns, and heightened emotional states. Progesterone and estrogen affect both the intensity of REM sleep and the brain's sensitivity to stress, leading to dreams that feel especially memorable. These dreams often include themes related to nurturing, protection, or fear of loss. Some women describe dreaming of animals, babies, or journeys through difficult terrain. Psychologists interpret these as reflections of the subconscious preparing for the challenges and anxieties of motherhood. They are not simply random images, but emotional rehearsals tailored to one of life's most profound transitions. Physical discomfort and frequent waking during pregnancy also increase dream recall. Each time the mother wakes during REM, she interrupts the dream and has a better chance of remembering it. The combination of hormonal intensity and fragmented sleep creates fertile ground for strikingly detailed dream experiences. Pregnancy dreams remind us that dreaming responds to major biological events in life. Just as adolescence, stress, or grief can reshape dream content, pregnancy leaves its distinct signature on the sleeping mind, weaving physical changes into symbolic stories. 23. Jet lag reshapes the rhythm and tone of dreams. Crossing time zones disrupts the circadian rhythm, and this disruption is reflected in the dream world. Travelers often report unusually strange or disjointed dreams during the first few nights in a new time zone. This is because the body's internal clock is out of sync with external cues, and sleep cycles are misaligned. REM periods may arrive earlier or later than normal, producing irregular dream episodes. In addition to timing changes, the content of dreams can shift. Jet-lagged individuals often describe chaotic, restless dreams filled with anxiety or confusion. This may mirror the body's internal struggle to re-establish order. The brain is trying to reconcile competing signals from light exposure, meal times, and hormone cycles, and the turbulence spills over into dream imagery. Studies also show that jet lag affects the emotional tone of dreams. They may become darker or more stressful, with recurring themes of being lost, missing connections, or running late. These mirror the actual anxieties of travel and disorientation. Once the circadian rhythm stabilizes, dream content typically returns to normal. Jet lag thus demonstrates how tightly dream patterns are linked to the body's internal clock, and how quickly disruptions in rhythm can reshape the nightly narrative. 24. Smells like lavender can calm dreams while harsh odors can darken them. External stimuli can enter dreams, and among the most influential are odors. Research shows that pleasant smells like lavender or roses introduced during sleep can soften the emotional tone of dreams, while unpleasant odors such as sulfur or smoke tend to provoke negative imagery. The brain integrates these signals into dream content, transforming them into metaphors or direct experiences. For instance, lavender may create a dream of walking through a peaceful garden, while a whiff of sulfur might manifest as fire, decay, or danger. This effect highlights how porous the dream world is to the outside environment. Even though we are cut off from most sensory input, smell has a direct neural pathway to emotional centers, making it especially powerful. This phenomenon also suggests practical applications. Some researchers believe that carefully chosen scents could be used to reduce nightmares or influence mood in dreams. Aromatherapy during sleep might help with stress relief by nudging dream imagery toward calmer directions. The fact that something as subtle as fragrance can shape the architecture of a dream proves how delicate and sensitive the dreaming brain is. The line between inner world and outer world is thinner than we imagine. 25 tall, music can be composed inside a dream and remembered on waking. There are famous cases of musicians waking with melodies that came to them in dreams. Paul McCartney claimed that the song Yesterday arrived this way, fully formed. What is fascinating is that the brain is capable of generating entirely new musical arrangements while asleep, combining fragments of familiar tunes with novel structures. In some cases, dreamers wake with complete symphonies or lyrics. The auditory cortex, which processes sound, is active during REM sleep even without real input. This allows the brain to create music as if it were being heard. Dream music often feels more profound or beautiful than anything composed in waking life, perhaps because it is unfiltered by self-criticism or technical constraints. When remembered, these dream compositions can inspire real creations. Musicians, poets, and even non-artists report writing down tunes or words that lingered upon waking. In this way, dreams act as an endless source of raw creativity, bypassing the barriers of conscious effort. The ability to generate original music in sleep shows that creativity is not limited to wakefulness. In fact, the brain may be at its most daring when freed from physical reality. Dream songs remind us that human imagination can continue composing, painting, or inventing even while the body rests. 26. Dreams rarely include reading because language circuits are dialed down. One of the strangest consistencies in dream research is the difficulty of reading text while asleep. People often find that words blur, rearrange themselves, or vanish when looked at closely in a dream. This happens because the brain regions that handle written language, primarily the angular gyrus and parts of the left hemisphere, are far less active during REM sleep. While visual and emotional circuits surge with energy, the centers of grammar, syntax, and symbol recognition enter a quieter mode, leaving reading nearly impossible. This explains why dream stories often rely on imagery rather than text. Instead of receiving a letter, you may dream of hearing someone deliver a message aloud. Instead of reading a sign, you may sense its meaning without words. The dream world is full of symbols and metaphors, but actual letters resist stability. Even those who dream of books or newspapers usually report that the text shifts the moment they look back. This limitation, however, reveals something important about how the brain prioritizes functions. During waking life, reading is a highly artificial skill developed late in human history. Our ancestors survived without written language, but never without images and emotions. Dreams preserve this evolutionary bias, elevating primal imagery while muting secondary, culturally acquired abilities. Dreams, in a sense, pull us back to a pre-literate mind where communication is done through direct vision and feeling. For lucid dreamers, the inability to read has become a useful test of dream reality. Attempting to read a sentence and watching it dissolve is often the first clue that one is dreaming. What seems like a limitation is also a gift, a subtle marker left by the mind to remind us that the world before our eyes is made of imagination rather than paper. 27. False awakenings can trap a sleeper inside loops of realism. A false awakening is one of the most convincing and unsettling dream experiences, when the dreamer believes they have woken up only to discover later that they are still asleep. The bedroom looks accurate, the body feels heavy, even the light and sound seem real, yet everything is a dream-generated replica. These experiences often come in layers where the dreamer wakes up several times before actually returning to true wakefulness. The vividness of false awakenings stems from the brain's ability to perfectly mimic ordinary perception. Unlike other dreams that might bend physics or logic, these episodes carefully copy reality, down to the arrangement of furniture or the ticking of a clock. This precision makes them far more difficult to recognize as dreams, and in some cases, they can create a sense of deep disorientation when the person finally wakes. Psychologists believe false awakenings are linked to heightened self-awareness at the threshold between dreaming and waking. The mind becomes aware enough to simulate waking, but not enough to actually leave the dream state. The brain builds a stage of reality and then convinces itself that the performance is the truth. This boundary space reveals how fragile our sense of being awake really is, and how easily the brain can create convincing illusions. People who experience frequent false awakenings often develop anxiety about sleep, as they fear becoming trapped in cycles of false reality. Yet some lucid dreamers use these loops as springboards into deeper awareness. By noticing inconsistencies, they break the cycle and gain full lucidity. What feels at first like a trap can become a doorway into one of the most extraordinary explorations of consciousness. 28. Dreaming sometimes puts you inside another identity. Dreams frequently allow us to become someone else entirely. People report experiencing dreams in which they are of a different age, gender, or even species, inhabiting the body and mind of another being. This phenomenon shows the brain's remarkable flexibility, its ability to simulate perspectives beyond our own. During sleep, the boundaries of self dissolve, and the dreamer can explore worlds from behind unfamiliar eyes. This shift may occur because the networks that maintain self-identity in waking life relax during sleep. The prefrontal cortex, which holds the sense of I as a continuous narrative, becomes less active, leaving space for other constructs to fill in. The brain can then assemble identity from fragments of memory, culture, or imagination. You may find yourself walking with the strength of someone you admired, or speaking with the voice of someone you fear, all without realizing the substitution. The experience of being someone else in a dream is deeply revealing. It demonstrates that our sense of identity is not fixed but constructed moment by the brain. Dreams offer a rehearsal ground for empathy, letting us feel what it might be like to live another life. They also expose how fragile the boundaries of self truly are, suggesting that you are less solid than you believe. Some philosophers argue that this dream phenomenon undermines the certainty of waking identity. If the mind can so convincingly generate another self at night, how do we know that the one we inhabit by day is not another dream-generated role? Dreams of inhabiting other bodies remind us that the self is a story told by the brain, one that can be rewritten at will. 29. Post-bereavement dreams can ease the pain of loss. People who lose loved ones often report powerful dreams of the deceased. These dreams are not always symbolic. They can feel like genuine encounters, filled with conversation, warmth, and presence. For many, such dreams provide comfort and healing, softening the edges of grief. They create a sense that the loved one continues to exist in some form, even if only in memory, and that connection can reduce the intensity of mourning. Neurologically, these dreams arise because the brain is replaying the most emotionally loaded memories. The hippocampus, which organizes memory, interacts with the amygdala, which processes emotion, creating vivid reconstructions of the lost person. These reconstructions feel so real because they are built from authentic memories, complete with voice, gestures, and expressions. The dream becomes a temporary return to a relationship the brain is unwilling to let go of completely. Psychologically, post-bereavement dreams may serve as a transitional bridge. They allow the grieving mind to process the permanence of loss gradually rather than all at once. A dream in which the deceased offers comfort or reassurance can ease the guilt, confusion, and sorrow that often accompany mourning. By presenting a sense of closure or continuation, the dream reduces emotional overload and gives the bereaved a safe space to process. For some cultures, these dreams are not seen as mental constructs, but as real visitations. Whether literal or symbolic, the impact remains profound. Post-bereavement dreams remind us that the mind is not only capable of reliving the past, but also of creating healing illusions that help carry us into the future. 30. The brain blends real sounds into dream plots. Dreams are not sealed off from the environment. External sounds can filter in and become woven into the dream narrative with remarkable speed. An alarm clock may transform into church bells or a siren in the dream. A dripping faucet might become a storm. Even muffled conversations outside the window can be incorporated as dialogue. The dreaming brain accepts these signals and integrates them seamlessly, as if they were part of the story all along. This blending occurs because the auditory cortex remains responsive during sleep. Unlike vision, which largely shuts down in the absence of input, hearing continues to monitor the environment for potential threats. To prevent waking unnecessarily, the brain often disguises these sounds by embedding them into the dream. This keeps the sleeper undisturbed while still acknowledging the input. The phenomenon reveals the brain's extraordinary skill at improvisation. Rather than jarring the dream apart, it instantly adapts the story to fit the sound. A car horn becomes a warning from a character. A dog barking becomes part of the scene. The illusion remains intact because the mind edits reality in real time, preserving the dream's continuity. These incorporations can sometimes shift the entire dream direction. A loud noise might create a sudden crisis or climax. In this way, the outside world acts like an unseen director, occasionally pushing the script forward. The porousness of dreams proves that they are not entirely internal but are shaped continuously by the environment. 31. People across cultures report similar themes like falling or being chased. Despite cultural differences, people around the world often share the same dream motifs: falling from great heights, being chased by pursuers, appearing unprepared for an exam, or standing exposed in public. These common themes suggest that certain dream patterns are deeply rooted in the human brain, perhaps tied to universal survival concerns or developmental milestones. The sensation of falling, for example, may reflect the body's natural muscle twitches during sleep, interpreted by the brain as a literal drop. Dreams of being chased likely echo primal instincts of predator-prey survival, rehearsing responses to danger. Exam dreams may embody the universal fear of failure or judgment, while dreams of nudity in public represent vulnerability and exposure. These archetypal dreams serve as reminders that beneath our cultural differences, the human nervous system shares the same biological wiring. Our fears, hopes, and insecurities are shaped by evolution, and dreams reflect that shared heritage. The dream of being chased in Japan is not different from one in Brazil or France. Both are rooted in the same ancient anxieties about survival. Recognizing the universality of these motifs can make dreams feel less isolating. Instead of thinking, only I dream such strange things, we realize that millions of people experience the same scenes. Dreams reveal the hidden language of humanity, written not in words but in images born of shared vulnerability. 32. Many people dream about teeth falling when stressed. One of the most common dream symbols reported across cultures is the loss of teeth. These dreams are often unsettling, leaving the dreamer feeling anxious even after waking. Psychologists suggest that this theme is tied to stress, insecurity, or fear of loss of control. Teeth are linked with appearance, strength, and ability to speak or eat, making their loss a powerful metaphor for helplessness. Neurologically, stress activates the limbic system, which heightens emotional intensity in dreams. When combined with physical sensations such as jaw tension or teeth grinding during sleep, the brain may translate these cues into dramatic imagery of teeth crumbling or falling out. The dream becomes a symbolic echo of both emotional and physical strain. Cultural interpretations vary. Some traditions see teeth loss dreams as omens of death or misfortune, while others interpret them as signals of personal transformation. Regardless of the source of meaning, the frequency of this dream theme indicates that it is one of the brain's favourite metaphors for stress. The collapse of something so fundamental to daily life makes an ideal symbol for the collapse of stability. When stress subsides, these dreams often disappear, underscoring their connection to emotional state. Teeth dreams are powerful reminders that the subconscious tracks our inner pressure, translating invisible burdens into visceral imagery that cannot be ignored. 33. Juaro. Dream farm flying often signals a sense of release or control. Flying dreams are among the most exhilarating and memorable of all. People describe soaring above cities, gliding over landscapes, or floating freely in the sky. Psychologists interpret these dreams as expressions of liberation, empowerment, or the desire to escape constraints. Unlike nightmares, flying dreams tend to carry positive emotions, offering a sense of transcendence. The sensation of flying may be tied to the vestibular system, which controls balance and spatial orientation. During sleep, when the brain replays movement signals, these systems may generate the illusion of lift and flight. Combined with emotional release, this creates a convincing sense of leaving the ground. Culturally, flying dreams are often associated with spiritual ascent, freedom, or imagination. They suggest rising above difficulties, overcoming obstacles, or reaching new stages of personal growth. The dream allows the body, normally bound by gravity, to transcend physical laws and experience pure potential. Flying dreams remind us of the brain's ability to simulate the impossible. They demonstrate that imagination knows no boundaries and that, during sleep, we can explore versions of ourselves that live beyond constraint. These dreams often leave a lasting feeling of joy, as if the body briefly remembered what it meant to be unchained. 34. Threat simulation in dreams sharpens reactions to danger. One of the most persuasive evolutionary theories of dreaming is the threat simulation hypothesis. It argues that dreams evolved as practice grounds for survival, allowing humans to rehearse responses to danger in a safe environment. When you dream of being chased, attacked, or trapped, your brain is strengthening its ability to recognize threats and plan escape routes. Neuroscientific evidence supports this idea. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, is highly active during REM sleep. Dreams provide a stage where simulated threats can be faced without physical harm. By repeating such rehearsals over time, the brain becomes quicker at recognizing danger in waking life. Just as athletes visualize moves before performing them, dreams provide an unconscious form of survival visualization. Dream threats are rarely abstract, they are usually vivid and specific. A wild animal, a masked attacker, or a collapsing building forces the dreamer to react. These reactions, though imaginary, prime neural pathways for speed and adaptability. Evolutionarily, those whose dreams rehearse survival may have had an edge in real emergencies. This theory reframes nightmares from being useless terrors to being essential training. While unpleasant, they may serve as the nervous system's night school, teaching lessons about fear, risk, and escape that might one day save a life. 35. Social simulation in dreams strengthens understanding of others. Beyond threats, dreams also simulate social life, placing us in endless interactions with people. These simulations allow us to test behaviors, interpret expressions, and practice responses. By creating complex social scenarios, the brain strengthens empathy and emotional intelligence. Dreams are classrooms for the art of understanding others. Research shows that the brain regions responsible for theory of mind, the ability to infer others' intentions, activate strongly during dreams. This suggests that even while asleep, we continue rehearsing the subtle skills of reading faces, tones, and gestures. These abilities are crucial to the survival in social groups, making dreams an extension of daytime practice. Dreams' social interactions are not always comfortable. They often involve embarrassment, exclusion, or misunderstanding, forcing us to deal with emotional complexity. Yet by simulating such scenarios, the mind builds resilience. Even rejection in a dream can prepare us emotionally for rejection in life, lessening its sting. Viewed this way, dreams are not indulgent fantasies, but tools for one of humanity's greatest strengths: social bonding. They remind us that survival is not only about escaping predators, but also about navigating the intricate world of human relationships. By the way, if you like and subscribe to my video, this is the most effective way to support me. 36. The default mode network weaves personal narratives during dreams. Deep inside the sleeping brain, the so-called default mode network, a constellation of regions including the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate cortex, and band angular gyrus, remains highly active. This network is known to generate the wandering thoughts and daydreams of waking life, and during sleep it becomes the invisible narrator of our inner stories. It pulls together fragments of memory, emotions, and imagination into a continuous thread, giving us the impression that our dreams have structure even when they do not. What is extraordinary is that this network does not simply replay daily events. Instead, it integrates them with older memories and deep emotions, weaving them into the symbolic dramas. A passing remark heard during the day may be stitched together with an old childhood memory and then reframed into a surreal scene that feels oddly meaningful. The default mode network is essentially the author of our dream novels, editing and combining countless sources into a single, flowing narrative. By studying brain scans, scientists have found that this network lights up during REM sleep in patterns strikingly similar to those seen during storytelling or autobiographical reflection while awake. This suggests that dreaming is an extension of our self-building process, a way the mind maintains a continuous sense of identity across time. Each night, the brain quietly rewrites who we are by embedding our experiences into the larger tapestry of memory and meaning. This explains why dreams often feel like they belong uniquely to us, carrying our signature themes, fears, and hopes. They are not random noise, but the nightly work of a personal narrator, tirelessly scripting the story of self. Even when the plot is confusing, the fact that there is a plot at all reflects the guiding hand of the default mode network, ensuring that we always wake with a reinforced sense of Me 37. Creativity grows when distant memories connect during sleep. One of the most powerful aspects of dreaming is its ability to connect ideas and memories that seem unrelated in waking life. During REM sleep, the barriers between separate memory networks weaken, allowing distant fragments to combine in ways that are impossible under normal logical thinking. This is why people often wake with a new insight, a creative solution, or even an invention that seemed unreachable the day before. The phenomenon can be understood as the brain running a massive cross-referencing process. A sound heard in childhood may suddenly link with a scene from yesterday, producing an image that feels alien yet strangely useful. Artists, scientists, and composers throughout history have relied on this process. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Paul McCartney's Yesterday, and Kekule's discovery of the benzene ring are all said to have emerged from dream creativity. The brain does not invent from nothing. It recombines the infinite fragments it already holds. Neuroimaging studies confirm that REM sleep increases activity in associative areas of the brain, particularly those that allow metaphor and analogy. In waking life, the prefrontal cortex senses these wild combinations as nonsense, but in dreams the senses are silent, letting the mind produce strange hybrid images and ideas. Many of them fade quickly, but a few survive the transition to wakefulness, leaving behind bursts of creativity that change lives. This process highlights a profound truth. Creativity is not simply a talent, but an emergent property of how the brain reorganizes memory during sleep. Dreams remind us that innovation does not come solely from deliberate effort, but often from surrendering to the mind's nightly workshop, where unlikely unions generate entirely new possibilities. 38. The brain pauses temperature regulation during REM. When the body enters REM sleep, one of its most basic automatic systems, thermoregulation, temporarily shuts down. This means that during dreams, your body is unable to adjust its core temperature in response to the environment. If the room is too hot or too cold, the brain does not issue its usual signals to sweat or shiver. The dreamer is left vulnerable, drifting in a state where internal heat balance is suspended. This suspension may seem dangerous, but it reveals how deeply the body prioritizes dreaming. By diverting energy away from temperature control, the brain ensures that REM sleep remains stable and undisturbed. It is as though the body enters a delicate, highly protected state where maintaining the dream takes precedence over adjusting comfort. This could explain why people sometimes wake sweating or chilled after particularly long dreams. Their bodies were unable to correct themselves during REM. Some researchers believe this suspension points to the evolutionary importance of REM. For the brain to risk shutting down thermoregulation, dreaming must provide a survival benefit strong enough to outweigh the temporary danger. The benefits, memory consolidation, emotional processing, creative insight, are so critical that nature deemed them worth the cost. Dreams, therefore, are not frivolous but essential, protected even at the expense of basic physical functions. Understanding this feature also sheds light on the fragility of REM. Disturbances such as temperature fluctuations, alcohol, or stress can easily disrupt REM because the body has less capacity to stabilize itself. Dreaming requires a carefully balanced environment, and when conditions are right, the brain willingly sacrifices thermoregulation to preserve the inner theatre of the night. 39. Pain is muted yet present in some dreams. Pain is a rare but not impossible element of dreams. Most dreamers report that even when they are injured in dreams, falling, fighting, or being attacked, the pain is either dull, symbolic, or strangely absent. This happens because the brain reduces activity in the somatosensory cortex during REM, muting the raw signals of discomfort. Dreams allow us to experience threats without the burden of actual suffering, yet in certain cases, pain does appear vividly. People who live with chronic pain conditions sometimes dream of their discomfort, incorporating it into dream narratives. A throbbing headache may transform into a hammering machine in a dream, or back pain may become the weight of a heavy burden. In these cases, the dream acts as a translation device, turning raw signals into metaphorical experiences. This dual nature, muted pain for most, vivid pain for some, shows how flexible dream processing can be. The brain's primary goal is to preserve the illusion of continuity and narrative. If pain fits the story, it may be allowed in. If not, it is filtered out. This selective process allows dreams to simulate danger without overwhelming the dreamer, keeping the experience instructive but not destructive. The rarity of pain in dreams also offers insight into why nightmares are so unsettling. When fear, confusion, or sadness are vividly present but pain is absent, the dream acquires an eerie quality. We face danger stripped of its sharpest edge, making the scenes feel more symbolic than physical, and perhaps more psychologically instructive as a result. 40. Sleep position can influence dream intensity and content. The way a person lies down can subtly shape the kind of dreams they experience. Research suggests that people who sleep on their left side are more prone to nightmares, while those on their right side report calmer dreams. Stomach sleepers often describe more vivid and strange dreams, sometimes involving restricted breathing or feelings of pressure. The physical arrangement of the body feeds directly into the sensory cues that the brain incorporates into dream narratives. This is because the body does not completely disconnect from sensation during sleep. Pressure on the chest, restricted airflow, or the comfort of a particular position can all become raw material for the dreaming brain. Someone lying on their stomach might dream of being trapped under debris or pressed by an unseen force. Someone lying on their back may dream of floating or flying, reflecting the openness of the position. Cultural and personal beliefs also interact with posture. In some traditions, sleeping on the left side was thought to invite visions or messages, while in others, stomach sleeping was discouraged as spiritually dangerous. While these beliefs are symbolic, they may have roots in the subtle differences in dream experience caused by posture. Ultimately, posture is just one of many external factors that weave into the inner world of dreaming. The link between the body's position and the brain's imaginative stage shows how intimately connected the physical and mental worlds remain, even during the deepest slumber. 41. Naps that include REM can produce full-story dreams. Short naps are usually associated with light rest, but when they extend long enough to enter REM sleep, typically around 60 to 90 minutes, they can generate dreams as vivid and elaborate as those of a full night's sleep. People often awaken from such naps reporting surreal, emotionally intense dreams, sometimes filled with narrative arcs that seem far longer than the nap itself. These REM naps demonstrate how quickly the brain can immerse itself in the dream world. The transition from wakefulness to vivid imagery may happen within minutes, especially if the person is sleep-deprived. Once REM begins, the same neural mechanisms that govern nightly dreaming activate, creating the full theatrical experience of story, character, and emotion. Naps that include REM are particularly effective for learning and creativity. Many studies have shown that people perform better on memory and problem-solving tasks after a REM nap than after a non-REM nap. The brief immersion into dream processing is enough to reorganize information, solidify memory, and sometimes spark creative associations. This shows that dreaming is not tied strictly to the length of night's sleep. It is a flexible system that can unfold whenever conditions allow. A short REM nap acts like a compressed dream cycle, giving the mind a burst of narrative and processing power that refreshes both cognition and emotion. 42. The more fragmented the sleep, the more fragmented the dream. When sleep is broken into multiple interruptions, the structure of dreams reflects that fragmentation. Instead of long, coherent narratives, the dreamer experiences short, choppy scenes, abrupt transitions, and incomplete storylines. Each awakening resets the dream stage, forcing the brain to start a new scene when sleep resumes. The result is a patchwork of disconnected images rather than a flowing drama. This phenomenon is often seen in people with insomnia or conditions that disrupt sleep cycles. Their dreams feel shallow, repetitive, or unsatisfying because the brain is not allowed to sustain long REM periods. Instead of weaving together extended stories, the brain stitches scraps of imagery, leaving the dreamer with fragments that vanish quickly. The effect of fragmented sleep also explains why people sometimes feel emotionally unsettled after a restless night. Without sustained REM, the brain cannot complete its processing of memory and emotion. The result is a backlog of unprocessed material, which may surface as irritability or anxiety. Dreams act like unfinished work, leaving the dreamer in a state of tension. By contrast, when sleep is deep and uninterrupted, dreams take on a cinematic quality, flowing smoothly from one act to the next. This difference shows how much dream quality depends on the architecture of sleep. The brain can create only as much coherence as the body allows, reminding us that good dreams depend on good sleep. 43. Lucid dreamers can send eye movement signals from within dreams. Lucid dreaming, the state of being aware that one is dreaming, has been scientifically verified through a fascinating method, eye movement signals. Because the body is paralyzed during REM but the eyes remain free to move, lucid dreamers can prearrange signals such as left-right-left movements to indicate lucidity. These signals are recorded on sleep lab equipment, providing objective proof that the dreamer knew they were dreaming. This discovery was revolutionary because it bridged the gap between subjective experience and measurable science. For the first time, researchers had a way to communicate with someone inside a dream in real time. Dreamers could mark the moment of lucidity, attempt tasks, and send feedback without waking. The dream world and waking world were linked by the subtle code of eye signals. The implications of this method are profound. It allows scientists to study the boundaries of consciousness, testing how much control people can exert in dreams and what skills they can practice. It has been used to study problem solving, motor rehearsal, and even the experience of time inside dreams. By using eye signals, researchers can track exactly when a dreamer performs a task and how the dream responds. For dreamers themselves, this technique validates the power of lucidity. What once seemed like mystical experience now has a concrete footprint on scientific recordings. It shows that the dream state is not beyond reach but can be explored and mapped, turning the night into a laboratory of the mind. 44. Practicing skills in dreams can improve performance after waking. Lucid dreamers often report that they can practice skills while dreaming, playing an instrument, rehearsing a sport, or preparing for a speech, and wake with measurable improvement. Scientific studies confirm that mental rehearsal in dreams activates many of the same brain circuits as actual physical practice. This means that the neural pathways strengthen, even if the body is not doing. For athletes, this provides a powerful tool. A gymnast may rehearse a routine in a lucid dream, visualizing every twist and landing. When awake, their body is already primed with the mental rehearsal, making execution smoother. Musicians may play a piece in their dreams, solidifying memory and coordination. Even everyday skills like public speaking can be rehearsed with vivid realism inside the dream state. The reason this works is that the brain does not fully distinguish between imagined and real practice. The motor cortex and sensory regions activate in patterns close to actual performance. In waking life, visualization is known to improve skills. In dreams, where imagery is immersive and convincing, the effect is even stronger. This phenomenon highlights how dreams are not only reflections of life but active extensions of learning. They provide a space where the mind can polish its abilities without fatigue or failure, reinforcing the idea that sleep is not passive rest, but active training. 45. Meditation before sleep can make dreams more vivid and stable. Practices of mindfulness and meditation before bed have been shown to increase dream vividness, recall, and even the likelihood of lucidity. This happens because meditation strengthens metacognitive awareness, the ability to notice thoughts without being consumed by them. When carried into sleep, this awareness increases the chance of recognizing the dream state. Meditation also calms the nervous system, lowering stress hormones and creating smoother sleep cycles. With fewer interruptions, REM periods become longer and deeper, allowing dreams to flourish. The vividness that follows is not random but the result of a more stable and receptive brain state, one primed for detailed imagery and emotional clarity. Many meditators report that their dreams take on qualities similar to meditation itself: stillness, heightened colors, or expanded awareness. Some traditions even encourage dream practice as a continuation of daily mindfulness, teaching that awareness should never be interrupted, not even by sleep. These teachings align with modern findings, showing that attention training in waking life shapes the dream landscape. The link between meditation and dreaming underscores a larger truth. The boundaries between conscious and unconscious states are not fixed. By cultivating awareness before sleep, we can influence the depth, clarity, and even content of dreams, turning the night into an extension of inner practice. 46. Targeted dream incubation can seed a theme before sleep. For centuries, cultures have experimented with the idea of planting thoughts or questions before sleep in hopes of influencing dreams. Modern science calls this targeted dream incubation, and research shows it is indeed possible to nudge the content of dreams. By focusing on a specific image, sound, or idea before bed, and sometimes repeating it with intention, people increase the chances that the theme will appear in their dream world. The process works because the hippocampus and prefrontal regions that handle short-term memory are still active as you drift into sleep. Whatever lingers in that short window of hypnagogia has a higher chance of being replayed when REM begins. If you fall asleep imagining a beach, you may dream of oceans. If you repeat a personal goal, you may dream of achieving it. This shows how permeable the barrier between waking thought and dreaming imagery can be. Dream incubation was not invented by modern science. Ancient Greeks visited temples to receive healing visions, indigenous tribes performed rituals to seek guidance through dreams, and mystics across cultures used prayers or chants to direct the night's narratives. Today, experiments in sleep labs replicate these old practices in controlled conditions, proving that the technique is both real and effective. What makes incubation especially fascinating is its potential for learning and creativity. By deliberately seeding a problem or idea before bed, dreamers can recruit the mind's nightly creativity to help find answers. It is a reminder that sleep is not only a time for rest, but also an open gateway to deeper exploration, one that can be influenced with a little preparation. 47. Dreams often use impossible architecture like endless corridors. Dreamscapes are famous for defying the rules of physics and geometry. People frequently describe buildings with impossible staircases, hallways that stretch forever, or doorways that lead back to where they began. These impossible architectures resemble the works of artists like Escher, whose paintings mimic the very logic-bending spaces of the dream world. The brain generates these surreal structures because spatial memory and imagination overlap during sleep. The hippocampus stores maps of real spaces, but when fragments are stitched together randomly, the result can be a hybrid environment that violates the rules of continuity. A hallway from your childhood home may blend with the corridor of your school, producing a dream world that is familiar yet impossible. These structures are not meaningless. Psychologists suggest that endless corridors may symbolize unresolved problems, with no clear exit. Stairs leading in loops may reflect cycles of thought that trap the dreamer in waking life. The surreal quality forces the dreamer to notice the impossibility, sometimes pushing them toward lucidity when they realize this could not exist. Dream architecture demonstrates how the brain does not just replay memory, but actively remodels it, bending rules to create symbolic environments. The landscapes may not obey physics, but they are convincing enough to feel real, showing how powerfully the mind can build entire worlds from scratch each night. 48 dream characters can speak in sentences that break grammar. Another curious feature of dreams is that characters often speak in ways that do not follow grammatical rules, yet their meaning is perfectly understood. You may hear a string of words that make no logical sense, but in the dream context, the message is crystal clear. This reveals how the brain prioritizes emotional tone and intent over strict language structure while asleep. The explanation lies in reduced activity in the language centers of the brain, particularly Broca's and Wernicke's areas during REM sleep. With syntax control weakened, words can slip into fragmented or mixed forms. The emotional and associative parts of the brain, however, remain active, filling in the gaps to ensure that the communication still feels real. It is a kind of language stripped of grammar but infused with meaning. This phenomenon demonstrates that language itself is more than words. Tone, gesture, and context carry immense weight, and in dreams these elements dominate. A single glance or a broken phrase can communicate entire stories. Dream communication may be more primal, closer to the way early humans shared meaning before the invention of complex grammar. The oddity of dream language can feel unsettling upon waking, but it also shows how flexible the mind is. Even when rules collapse, the brain continues to construct meaning. Dreams remind us that communication is not limited to formal structure. It is an instinct that finds a way to connect even in chaos. 49. The brain accepts impossible physics while dreaming. In dreams, people can breathe underwater, walk through walls, or fly without wings. These violations of natural law feel ordinary while they happen, only appearing strange once we wake. This acceptance is the result of reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex, the region that enforces logical consistency. Without this inner critic, the dream world is free to operate on new rules, and the brain embraces them without hesitation. This suspension of disbelief reveals how adaptable the mind is. In waking life, our survival depends on consistent laws, but in the dream state, the brain trades rigidity for flexibility. By allowing impossible physics, it can explore new solutions, test imaginative possibilities, and push the boundaries of experience. What feels like nonsense may actually be a training ground for creativity. The sensation of normalcy inside impossible scenarios also explains why dreams can feel so convincing. When gravity suddenly stops applying, the brain does not question it. It simply builds a narrative where this is reality. The same machinery that convinces us the waking world is real also convinces us the dream world is real, regardless of how impossible its rules are. Dreams, therefore, are living proof that reality is a construct of the mind. They show how perception can be reshaped by shifting only a few assumptions. At night, we learn firsthand how fragile the laws of reality are, and how easily the brain can accept a universe with entirely different physics. 50. People can revisit the same dream location across years. Many dreamers report recurring places in their dreams, a house they have never seen in waking life, a mysterious city, or a landscape that appears again and again. These dream locations can persist across years, sometimes evolving but always retaining their unique identity. They become part of a private geography of the mind, as familiar as any real location. The existence of such places suggests that the brain stores spatial constructs built entirely in dreams. These dream maps may be assembled from fragments of real memories but solidify into stable mental environments. Each time the dream recurs, the brain retrieves the map and reuses it, giving the impression of continuity. Over time, these locations can gain their own history, rules, and emotional significance. Psychologically, recurring dream places may serve as containers for unresolved themes. A strange house might represent hidden aspects of the self. A city may embody ambition or anxiety. The fact that the same location repeats shows that the subconscious considers it important enough to revisit, like a story that refuses to end until it is understood. For dreamers, these recurring places can feel haunting or comforting, depending on the associations they carry. They remind us that the mind is capable not only of creating temporary illusions, but of maintaining entire worlds that exist only in sleep, revisited across the span of a lifetime. 51. Dreams can invert roles, turning rivals into allies. One of the fascinating tricks of dreams is their tendency to flip roles in relationships. Someone you dislike in waking life may appear as a friend in a dream, and an ally may suddenly turn against you. These inversions create scenarios that are emotionally powerful, forcing the dreamer to confront unexpected versions of their relationships. This role shifting occurs because dreams do not follow strict emotional logic. Instead, they test out multiple possibilities, including those that seem contradictory. A rival may become an ally to allow the dreamer to explore reconciliation, or an ally may turn hostile to reveal hidden anxieties about trust. These sudden shifts expose the underlying complexity of human relationships. From a neurological perspective, these inversions demonstrate the brain's fluidity in linking emotional associations. The amygdala and hippocampus remix memories, producing new variations of people and events. The purpose may be to strengthen flexibility and social understanding, teaching the dreamer to navigate changing roles and uncertain loyalties. Dream role reversals are often the most striking upon waking because they challenge our assumptions. They show us that the people we know are not fixed in one role in our minds. They can shift depending on context and emotion. Dreams remind us that our view of others is less stable than we think, shaped by the subconscious as much as by reality. 52. Emotions can be stronger in dreams than in daytime. Many people wake from dreams feeling emotions so intense they linger for hours, sometimes even reshaping the mood of an entire day. Dreams amplify feelings, turning fear into terror, joy into euphoria, and sadness into despair. This amplification happens because the amygdala, the brain's emotional core, is hyperactive during REM, while rational controls are reduced. The result is pure emotion untempered by reason. The strength of these emotions demonstrates the raw power of dreams to affect waking life. A nightmare can leave someone anxious long after it ends, while a joyful dream can create a lingering sense of hope. Unlike waking events, which are filtered by rational interpretation, dreams hit the emotional system directly, leaving an unmediated impact. These heightened feelings also serve a purpose. By exaggerating emotions, dreams may help the brain rehearse and regulate them. Fear becomes overwhelming in a nightmare, so that the body learns how to handle it. Joy becomes ecstatic so that the mind remembers what it values most. The exaggeration acts as training, building emotional resilience. Recognizing the emotional intensity of dreams reminds us that they are not trivial. They are experiences that can shape memory, influence behavior, and alter perspective. Their emotional power ensures that we wake not only rested, but subtly changed, carrying traces of the night into the day. 53. The brain can cry or laugh during sleep because of real emotion. It is not uncommon for people to wake from dreams with tears on their cheeks, or laughter still echoing in their chest. These physical reactions happen because dream emotions are so strong that they overflow into the body despite muscle paralysis. While most movement is blocked during REM, small facial muscles can still twitch, allowing the expressions of crying or smiling to break through. This demonstrates that the brain treats dream emotion as fully real. The same neural circuits that produce tears of grief or laughter of joy in waking life are active in sleep. When the amygdala floods the system with emotion, the physical pathways respond automatically, regardless of whether the cause is real or imagined. The phenomenon can be disorienting. Waking in tears without remembering the dream leaves people puzzled, while waking in laughter feels surreal, as though happiness bloomed from nowhere. These experiences remind us that dreams can affect the body even when the events themselves are illusions. Such physical expressions also reinforce the importance of dreams as emotional regulators. By releasing laughter or tears in sleep, the brain may be providing catharsis, a way to process emotional build-up without conscious interference. Dreams, all in this sense, are not only psychological but physical events that reshape both mind and body. 54. The longest dream episodes often arrive before dawn. As the night progresses, REM cycles become progressively longer. Early in the night, dreams may last only a few minutes, but by morning they can stretch close to an hour. These late-stage dreams are the ones most vividly remembered. Filled with detail, characters, and extended plots that unfold like movies, they represent the climax of the brain's nightly work. The timing of these long dreams aligns with the body's natural rhythm. Cortisol levels rise before waking, preparing the body for activity. This hormonal shift may also enhance the brain's ability to encode dream memories, which is why these morning dreams often linger so strongly. The combination of longer REM periods and heightened recall creates the impression of endless, immersive dreamscapes. These late dreams also tend to integrate material from the entire preceding day, weaving together events, emotions, and unfinished thoughts. They act as summaries, pulling together fragments into cohesive narratives. This is why morning dreams often feel especially meaningful, as though the brain is presenting its conclusions before handing the mind back to waking reality. Recognizing this pattern shows why waking too early can rob us of the richest dreams. The final hours of sleep are often the most creative, emotionally intense, and memorable. Morning dreams are the grand finale of the night, where the brain displays its most complete and dramatic productions. 55. Odor cues during sleep can reduce fear linked to memories. Experiments have shown that introducing certain scents during sleep can alter how the brain processes fear memories. For example, pairing a neutral smell with a frightening stimulus during the day, and then reintroducing that smell during sleep can reduce the emotional intensity of the memory. The brain seems to reprocess the memory with a calmer association, weakening its hold. This effect occurs because the olfactory system has direct pathways to the amygdala, bypassing many of the filters that other senses pass through. Smell is uniquely tied to memory and emotion, making it an ideal lever for reshaping the emotional tone of experiences. When scents are reintroduced during REM, the brain incorporates them into the dream narrative, gently rewriting the memory with less fear attached. The implications of this research are vast. It suggests that targeted sensory input during sleep could be used to treat anxiety, trauma, or phobias. Instead of confronting painful memories head-on, the brain could be guided to reframe them in the safety of dreams. This gentle, indirect method offers a new frontier for psychological healing. Odor cues reveal how dreams are not sealed islands, but responsive systems that can be influenced from outside. The sleeping brain is open to dialogue, and with the right signals, it can rewrite the emotional weight of memory. Dreams become not only storytellers of the night, but healers working silently in the dark. 56. Childhood imaginary friends can reappear in adult dreams. Many adults are startled to find long-forgotten imaginary friends resurfacing in their dreams, sometimes decades after they were last consciously remembered. These dream figures arrive with the same warmth, personality, or playfulness they had in childhood, as if preserved in the subconscious like pressed flowers. The mind does not discard these early creations, but keeps them dormant, ready to emerge in dreams when the right triggers appear. This phenomenon occurs because childhood imagination builds lasting neural patterns. When a child invents an imaginary companion, they practice empathy, dialogue, and social interaction in a safe, self-generated environment. The brain stores these patterns deeply, linking them with early emotional experiences. Later in life, when stress, nostalgia, or loneliness strike, dreams may pull from this archive, reviving these companions as a form of comfort or symbolic return to innocence. The reappearance of imaginary friends in dreams reveals how memory is not limited to external events but also includes the creations of the mind itself. They are as real to the brain as actual people once were. Dreams can blur the line between remembered relationships and invented ones, treating both as meaningful characters in the nightly theatre. For some, this can be unsettling, for others, profoundly comforting. What these dream visitations remind us is that childhood imagination leaves an indelible mark on identity. Even when we forget, the brain remembers, holding on to the stories and friendships that shaped our earliest sense of self. Dreams serve as the bridge that carries these companions back into consciousness, reminding us that imagination has always been a vital part of survival. 57. Many older adults recall black and white dreams influenced by early media. When asked about their dream experiences, many older adults report that their dreams are often in black and white rather than colour. This phenomenon appears to be linked to early exposure to black and white media, such as television and film. For a generation raised on monochrome imagery, the brain's dream palette reflects the visual world it grew up in. Neuroscientists believe that early sensory experiences shape the default settings of perception. If most of a person's childhood visual input was monochrome, the brain normalizes that mode of representation. During sleep, when the mind reconstructs imagery, it may revert to those formative patterns, resulting in black and white dreamscapes that feel entirely natural to the dreamer. Interestingly, this phenomenon has diminished in younger generations. Today, with widespread exposure to high-definition colour images from early childhood, black and white dreams are rare. This generational difference highlights how adaptable and impressionable the dreaming brain is, moulding itself to the dominant visual environment. These findings remind us that dreams are not just products of biology, but also of culture and technology. The medium through which we see the world in childhood shapes the way we imagine and dream for decades afterward, making dreams a cultural artifact as much as a biological one. 58 astronauts report unusual dreams in microgravity. Dream reports from astronauts show that the unique environment of space deeply affects dream content. Many describe floating effortlessly, gliding through enormous halls, or travelling across surreal landscapes that echo the sensation of weightlessness. Unlike ordinary flying dreams, these are not symbolic but directly tied to the constant experience of microgravity. The brain adapts to space by recalibrating its sense of balance and orientation, relying less on gravity and more on visual cues. This adaptation extends into sleep. Dreams incorporate the sensation of drifting or spinning, producing imagery that reflects the astronaut's lived reality. Some report dreams so vivid that they wake disoriented, unsure whether they are still asleep or floating in the real spacecraft. These dreams reveal how closely tied the brain is to its environment. On Earth, gravity is so constant that it rarely enters dreams. But when gravity is removed, the mind replays and explores the new condition intensely, weaving it into nightly stories. It is as if the subconscious must practice and reaffirm its sense of orientation in the absence of the anchor. It has always known. Astronaut dreams illustrate how adaptable the human mind is, even in one of the most alien environments imaginable. They also show how the content of dreams is never random but a reflection of the body and brain's current struggle to adapt to new realities. 59. Recurring nightmare villains can fade when the story is rewritten. Many people suffer recurring nightmares where the same threatening figure appears over and over again. These villains may take the form of monsters, faceless pursuers, or shadowy attackers. The repetition can last for years, leaving the dreamer fearful of sleep. Yet research shows that if the dream narrative is consciously altered, either through therapy or lucid dreaming, the recurring villain can fit in, sometimes disappearing entirely. This process works because the brain responds strongly to narrative closure. When the dreamer finds a way to confront the villain, talk to them, or change the outcome of the story, the emotional charge is reduced. The brain no longer needs to replay the scenario night after night. It is as though the unresolved conflict was finally resolved in the subconscious, and the script can be retired. Lucid dreamers often describe transforming their nightmare villain into an ally, or simply asking them what they represent. Such confrontations can lead to startling insights. Sometimes the villain symbolizes fear, trauma, or unresolved guilt. By engaging rather than fleeing, the dreamer integrates the hidden message and dissolves the nightmare's power. This demonstrates how plastic and responsive the subconscious mind is. Recurring villains are not punishments but invitations to explore deeper issues. When their role is fulfilled, they vanish, proving that even the darkest dreams can be reshaped through courage and awareness. 60. Sleeping soon after study solidifies new vocabulary. Language learners often notice that new words studied before bed appear in their dreams. This is not coincidence. Sleep plays a critical role in consolidating vocabulary, embedding fragile new words into durable long-term memory. The hippocampus replays the day's learning during REM, and dreams provide a rehearsal space where words are tested, spoken, or woven into surreal dialogues. Studies confirm that people who sleep shortly after studying recall words better than those who stay awake. Dreams appear to act as a second classroom, one where the rules of grammar may be loose but the rehearsal of memory is strong. Even nonsense sentences in dreams strengthen recall because the brain is retrieving and using the vocabulary in context. Some learners report dreams in the new language itself even before they are fluent. These dreams may contain broken phrases, mixed words, or even invented terms, but they reflect the brain's effort to internalize the language. The subconscious seems eager to experiment, testing combinations and building fluency through trial and error in dream space. This shows that dreams are not idle entertainment but a continuation of the day's work. By turning learning into experience, they convert fragile short-term knowledge into durable skill. For anyone seeking to master a language, sleep is not a luxury but a crucial partner in the process. 61. Dream recall improves with a consistent waking routine. People who wake abruptly to alarms often forget their dreams instantly, while those who wake slowly and consistently tend to recall more. The reason is that dream memories are fragile and easily disrupted by sudden sensory overload. A gentle, predictable waking routine provides a bridge, allowing the mind to carry fragile dream fragments into consciousness. This connection is supported by research showing that keeping a regular sleep schedule increases dream recall frequency. When the brain knows when to expect waking, it seems to prepare memory systems for the transition. Instead of discarding the dream traces, it leaves them accessible long enough to be recorded. This explains why keeping a notebook by the bed and writing immediately upon waking is so effective. Dream recall is not just about curiosity. People who remember more dreams often report stronger self-awareness, richer creativity, and even improved emotional regulation. By reflecting on dreams, they integrate subconscious material that others may lose. The consistent routine is what makes this possible, creating a doorway for nightly experiences to step into daily life. In a world where alarms and rush dominate mornings, practicing slower, intentional waking is a simple but profound way to enrich awareness. The subconscious has much to say, but it speaks quietly, and only those who rise gently enough can hear it. 62. A caffeine nap can delay REM and change the next dream. One of the most unusual sleep hacks is the caffeine nap, where a person drinks coffee just before taking a short nap. Because caffeine takes about 20 minutes to enter the bloodstream, the sleeper can drift into light non-REM sleep before waking as the stimulant kicks in. This strategy increases alertness afterward but has fascinating effects on dreaming. By delaying REM, caffeine shifts when vivid dreams occur. The next REM cycle may be shorter, lighter, or filled with different emotional content than usual. Some people report more chaotic or fragmented dreams after a caffeine nap, while others report unusually vivid ones due to the rebound effect once caffeine fades. The chemical intervention reshapes the architecture of sleep, altering the mind's normal rhythm. This shows how delicate the dream cycle is. Small changes in chemistry can ripple across the night, transforming how memory and emotion are processed. While caffeine may help with alertness, it also means sacrificing or altering the natural dream flow, which can reduce the brain's efficiency at emotional regulation. The caffeine nap demonstrates that dreams are deeply sensitive to what we consume and when. Sleep is not sealed from the choices of waking life. Even a single cup of coffee can reshape the architecture of the mind's nightly stories. 63. Alcohol disrupts REM and increases nightmares later. Although alcohol makes people fall asleep faster, it comes with a hidden cost: suppression of REM sleep. The first half of the night after drinking is dominated by deep non-REM sleep, with REM cycles shortened or skipped altogether. Later in the night, however, the brain rebounds, producing intense and fragmented REM periods filled with restless dreams or nightmares. This rebound effect explains why people often wake from post-drinking sleep feeling unrefreshed despite having slept many hours. The dreams that appear late are chaotic, emotionally charged, and often unpleasant. The brain is trying to catch up on missed REM, but the process is disorganized, resulting in disturbing imagery and repeated awakenings. From a neurological standpoint, alcohol interferes with neurotransmitters like GABA and glutamate, destabilizing the balance of sleep architecture. While the initial sedation feels restful, the deeper functions of dreaming, emotional processing, memory consolidation, creativity are compromised. The result is poorer sleep quality overall and an emotional hangover in addition to the physical one. These findings remind us that alcohol is not a true aid to rest. It is a chemical trick that robs the brain of its most essential nightly function, the ability to dream properly. The nightmares that follow are not random, but a consequence of disrupted rhythms, nature's attempt to correct the imbalance alcohol creates. 64. Some medicines suppress dreams while others intensify them. Different medications can have striking effects on dreams. Antidepressants, for instance, often reduce or suppress REM sleep, leaving people with fewer remembered dreams. On the other hand, drugs that affect acetylcholine or dopamine may intensify dream activity, leading to surreal or even exhausting nights. The brain's chemistry is deeply tied to dream production, and altering it with medication changes the nature of the dream world. For some, this can be distressing. People on medications that reduce REM sometimes report feeling emotionally flat, as though the richness of their inner life has diminished. Others on drugs that intensify REM describe dreams so vivid and bizarre they wake feeling drained. These effects show how sensitive dreams are to the delicate balance of neurotransmitters that control sleep. Doctors sometimes use these effects as diagnostic clues. Changes in dream intensity or recall can reveal how well a medication is working, or how strongly it is altering the nervous system. For patients, learning to track their dream patterns can provide insights into how the brain is responding to treatment. These cases highlight that dreams are not immune to medicine, but are among the most sensitive indicators of its impact. By listening to the dream world, we can better understand how chemicals shape not just the body, but the subconscious itself. 65. The brain builds face composites from fragments stored across years. One of the mysteries of dreams is how they generate new faces. The people we meet in dreams often feel unfamiliar, yet they carry distinct features that make them believable. Neuroscience suggests that these faces are composites, built from fragments of real people stored across a lifetime. A stranger in a dream may have the nose of someone glimpsed on a train years ago, the eyes of a childhood teacher, and the smile of a passing neighbour. The fusiform face area of the brain is specialised in recognising faces, and during REM it becomes active even without external input. Instead of processing live faces, it recombines stored features into new identities. This explains why strangers in dreams feel so real. They are mosaics of real features, pieced together into a seamless whole. The psychological significance of these composite faces can be profound. A dream stranger may embody qualities the dreamer has associated with those features: authority, kindness, menace, without the dreamer realizing the origin. In this way, the subconscious builds characters that are both fictional and grounded in reality. Dream composites remind us that memory is not a perfect recording, but a vast library of fragments. The brain does not simply play them back, but actively reuses and reassembles them. The people we meet at night may never exist in the waking world, yet they are constructed from the very real traces of lives we have brushed against, often without ever noticing. 66. Dreams sometimes introduce people never seen while awake. One of the most mysterious experiences in dreaming is the sudden appearance of characters who seem completely new. Unlike composites of familiar faces, these strangers feel distinct, with their own voices, expressions, and personalities. The question arises, how can the brain create an entirely new person, one you are certain you have never encountered? Neuroscientists suggest that even if you believe a dream figure is new, they are likely built from fragments of unnoticed details stored across your lifetime. The cashier glimpsed briefly, the passerby in a crowd, or a forgotten childhood acquaintance may all contribute features. The subconscious recombines them into someone who feels novel. Yet some dreamers remain convinced the people they meet are truly original, as if the mind is capable of generating identities from scratch. Psychologically, these characters often serve specific roles. They may act as guides, adversaries, or companions, helping to carry the dream narrative forward. Their sudden arrival often injects freshness into the dream story, surprising even the dreamer's subconscious. This unpredictability reflects the brain's improvisational genius, its ability to conjure characters as needed, fully equipped with behaviour and speech. For dreamers, these encounters can feel haunting or profound. Meeting a stranger who seems wise, hostile, or loving may leave a lasting impression, as though one had met an actual person in another world. Whether these figures are fragments of memory or creations of the imagination, they remind us that the human mind has an endless capacity to invent. 67. Morning cortisol makes dream recall easier for some people. As the night gives way to morning, the body begins preparing to wake by releasing cortisol, a hormone tied to alertness and memory. While cortisol is often associated with stress, in small doses it sharpens the brain's ability to encode experiences. This is why morning dreams are often recalled more vividly than those earlier in the night. The hormonal shift provides just enough arousal to capture the dream before it fades. This mechanism shows how recall is not just about the dream itself, but also about the state of the body at waking. In the middle of the night, when cortisol is low, dreams vanish easily. By dawn, the chemical balance is different, allowing the brain to hold on to fragments long enough to be remembered. It explains why people who wake naturally without alarms often recall their dreams in more detail. their body transitions smoothly with the help of cortisol, rather than being jolted awake. The role of cortisol also suggests why some people are better dream recallers than others. Individuals with natural morning alertness, or those whose cortisol rhythms are more pronounced, may consistently remember their dreams. Others, with flatter hormonal cycles, may struggle to recall even the most vivid dream. The difference lies less in dream content and more in the biology of waking. This connection reveals a hidden truth. The recall of dreams is as much a function of the body as it is of the mind. What we carry from night into day depends on a delicate timing between hormones and memory systems. Dreams are fragile, and only when conditions align do they cross the threshold into lasting memory. 68. The sense of time inside dreams depends on the rhythm of brainwaves. Dream time often feels distorted, with events unfolding more quickly or slowly than in waking life. This distortion is linked to the rhythm of brainwaves during REM sleep. In this state, the brain produces rapid bursts of activity that accelerate perception, compressing or stretching events in ways that alter the subjective experience of time. Studies with lucid dreamers show that while dream time often matches real time in simple tasks, complex narratives can feel much longer than the minutes they occupy. The brain's wave patterns influence how dense the imagery is, with faster rhythms creating the illusion of more events unfolding. A 10-minute REM episode can feel like an hour of lived experience simply because more perceptual frames are processed in that window. This phenomenon explains why people often wake astonished at how much they dreamed in such a short span. It is not that time itself stretched, but that the brain packed more moments into each unit of time. The more frames of experience created, the longer the sequence feels, much like a film with an unusually high frame rate. Dream distortions of time reveal how subjective and flexible our sense of duration is. Time is not experienced as a clock, but as a density of events. Dreams remind us that the human experience of time is not fixed, but a construction that can expand or contract depending on how the brain chooses to measure reality. 69. Brainwaves in theta range shape the arc of dream scenes. Theta waves, slower than waking beta rhythms but faster than the deep delta of slow wave sleep, dominate the REM state. These waves are closely tied to memory, imagination, and creative flow. In dreams, theta waves appear to organize the progression of scenes, giving them arcs and transitions that mimic narrative flow in waking life. The brain in theta rhythm is in a state of heightened suggestibility. This is why ideas planted before sleep can reappear in dreams, and why imagery flows so fluidly. Theta activity fosters connections between distant neural networks, allowing metaphors and symbols to emerge naturally. The strange but meaningful logic of dreams, where one scene flows into another seamlessly, is largely the work of this rhythm. Theta waves also explain why dreams feel immersive. In waking life, bursts of theta occur when we are deeply absorbed in daydreams, meditation, or creative work. In REM, the entire brain shifts into this state, amplifying its effects. The result is a full-body immersion into imagination, one that feels real precisely because the same rhythms shape our sense of presence in waking daydreams. By studying theta waves, scientists glimpse how the brain generates meaning out of chaos. Dreams are not random, they are structured by rhythms that guide the flow of thought. The nightly theatre is built not only from memory, but also from the electrical patterns that shape how memory and imagination interact. 70. Puzzling transitions hide when the prefrontal cortex clocks out. Dreams are notorious for their sudden shifts. You are walking down a street one moment and standing in a forest the next, with no sense of how you got there. These puzzling transitions occur because the prefrontal cortex, which normally maintains logical sequencing, is largely offline during REM. Without its oversight, the brain jumps between scenes without explanation, and the dreamer accepts the discontinuity without question. This absence of logic enforcement reveals how fragile narrative truly is. In waking life, the prefrontal cortex constantly stitches events into coherent stories, filling gaps with memory and assumption. In dreams, this stitching process is loosened, allowing raw fragments of memory to collide. The result is abrupt but strangely convincing shifts, as the dreamer accepts impossible leaps as natural. These transitions also show the improvisational genius of the brain. Even without proper sequencing, the mind generates just enough connective tissue to keep the illusion alive. A sudden forest scene may be justified by a fleeting sense of having walked here, even if no such walk occurred. The dream edits itself in real time, hiding its seams from the dreamer. By observing these transitions, we see the difference between conscious and unconscious storytelling. Waking life demands smooth continuity, while dreaming embraces discontinuity as a creative feature. The brain is teaching itself that meaning can survive even when logic collapses, a lesson that fuels both creativity and adaptability. 71. A single night can hold many separate dream episodes. Although we often recall only one or two dreams, an entire night of sleep contains multiple episodes, sometimes up to 7 or more. Each REM cycle brings a new dream, distinct from the others, and separated by non-REM stages. Dreams may vary in setting, emotion, and style, producing a rich gallery of nightly experiences that we rarely remember in full. The idea that we dream only once per night is an illusion created by poor recall. In reality, the brain produces a new narrative with each REM cycle, building a fresh world every 90 minutes. These episodes may share themes or characters, but they are independent productions, as if the mind were hosting a film festival overnight. When people keep detailed dream journals, they often discover how varied their nightly experiences are. Dreams of joy, fear, confusion, and nostalgia can all appear in the same night, each in its own compartment. The subconscious is not content with one story, it produces many, testing different themes and emotions before dawn. This abundance of dreams suggests that sleep is not just one act, but a series of acts, each with its own message and function. To dream is not to tell a single tale, but to live through a sequence of shifting realities, each contributing to the larger work of memory, emotion, and identity. 72. The dream world often borrows recent headlines or conversations. People frequently report dreams that echo something they read, heard, or discussed only hours before. A news headline may appear in distorted form, or a casual conversation may replay in surreal imagery. This shows that dreams are sensitive to the immediate past, incorporating fresh experiences as raw material for their stories. The mechanism lies in the hippocampus, which prioritizes new information for processing during sleep. Fresh input is more active in memory networks, making it more likely to surface in dreams. This explains why binge-watching a show or reading a gripping book before bed often results in dreams featuring those characters or scenes, but dreams rarely replay these inputs literally. Instead, they reshape them, blending them with older material to create new narratives. A news story about a storm may turn into a personal dream about being lost at sea. A casual conversation about work may morph into a dream about being tested in school. Dreams take what is immediate and make it symbolic. This recycling of fresh content highlights the brain's efficiency. It uses the dream state to process the newest experiences quickly, embedding them into the larger web of memory. Dreams, therefore, are not escapes from reality, but active editors of it, weaving the events of the day into the fabric of self. 73. Weighted blankets can reduce nighttime arousal and soften dreams. Weighted blankets have become popular for their calming effect, and research suggests they may also influence dream quality. By providing deep pressure stimulation, these blankets reduce arousal in the nervous system, leading to calmer sleep cycles. This in turn produces dreams that are less chaotic, less fragmented, and often more comforting. The pressure signals from the blanket activate the parasympathetic nervous system, lowering heart rate and calming stress hormones. With the body in a more stable state, REM sleep can unfold more smoothly, reducing the likelihood of nightmares or restless imagery. Some users report dreams that are gentler, slower, and more emotionally positive when using weighted blankets. This demonstrates how physical sensations directly shape dream content. Just as discomfort or noise can create stressful dreams, comfort and pressure can create soothing ones. The dream does not arise in isolation, it is sensitive to every signal from the body. For people prone to anxiety or trauma-related nightmares, weighted blankets may provide more than comfort. They may reshape the dream landscape itself. The simple act of adding pressure becomes a signal of safety, echoed in the stories the brain tells at night. 74. And dream diaries train the brain to store more detail. Keeping a dream diary is one of the most powerful tools for increasing dream recall. By writing down dreams immediately upon waking, people train the brain to treat dream memories as valuable. Over time, this practice increases both the quantity and quality of recalled dreams, transforming fleeting fragments into rich narratives. The mechanism is simple but profound. Memory systems respond to attention. When dreams are consistently recorded, the hippocampus prioritizes them, making future dreams more likely to be transferred into long-term storage. The act of writing builds a feedback loop telling the brain this information matters. The result is a gradual strengthening of dream memory pathways. People who keep diaries often notice that their dreams grow more detailed and coherent over time. They begin to remember colours, faces, and dialogues that once slipped away. This increased recall can lead to deeper insight into the subconscious, greater creativity, and even more frequent lucid dreams. Dream diaries remind us that memory is a living process, shaped by what we choose to value. By choosing to honour dreams with attention, we invite them to become more vivid, more available, and more influential in waking life. 75. Smells and sounds in the room can sneak into the story. Dreams are porous, open to the subtle stimuli of the environment. A ringing phone may turn into a dream alarm bell. The smell of food may become a feast, and the hum of traffic may transform into the roar of an ocean. The brain does not ignore these inputs but adapts them, seamlessly weaving them into the fabric of the dream. This happens because certain senses remain partially active during sleep. The auditory and olfactory systems continue to monitor the environment for danger, even as the body rests. Rather than fully waking the sleeper, the brain often translates the input into dream content, preserving sleep while acknowledging reality. The result can be surreal but convincing. A car horn outside becomes part of a chase, or a neighbour's voice becomes dialogue in a dream scene. The dreamer accepts it without question, because the brain instantly adapts the story to accommodate the interruption. These incorporations show that dreams are not isolated from the world but deeply interwoven with it. The boundary between inside and outside is thin, and every sound or smell has the potential to shift the direction of the night's narrative. 76. After intense learning. REM time increases in the next night, when the brain is pushed to absorb new information. Whether it is learning a language, studying for an exam, or practicing a musical instrument, it responds by altering the architecture of sleep itself. The following night, REM periods lengthen, often at the expense of other stages. This increase reflects the brain's urgent need to consolidate the new material, weaving it into long-term memory through the unique chemistry of dreaming. The mind essentially carves out more space for the work of REM, as though expanding its workshop to handle the extra load. This expansion is not just a passive response but an active restructuring. The hippocampus, responsible for encoding memory, works closely with the neocortex to replay and reorganize the day's experiences. During REM, patterns of activity seen while learning are repeated at faster speeds, allowing connections to form more efficiently. The brain strengthens what is relevant, discards what is not, and integrates the new with the old. This explains why a good night of sleep after study often feels like it cements the knowledge, while skipping sleep leaves the material fragile and forgettable. The phenomenon also illustrates why dreaming is not simply an indulgence of imagination. When REM time expands, dreams themselves often reflect the new learning. Students report dreaming of the subjects they studied, musicians hear fragments of songs, and athletes replay movements. These dreams may appear bizarre or symbolic, but beneath the surface they are practical exercises, rehearsals designed to harden memory traces and improve performance. The strangeness of the dream does not negate its function. Instead, the surreal narrative allows the brain to recombine material creatively, finding new connections that aid understanding. Dreams remind us that the night is not empty but filled with hidden work and silent wonder. Each time we close our eyes, the brain does more than rest. It rewrites memory, tests our fears, rehearses our hopes, and composes stories no waking mind could invent. From the smallest fragments of forgotten faces to vast landscapes that bend the laws of physics, dreams reveal the mind's true creativity. They are not distractions, but evidence that even in sleep we are alive, learning and changing. To understand dreams is to glimpse the secret architecture of consciousness itself, the place where memory, imagination, and identity are remade every night before dawn. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like the video, comment, and subscribe to our channel. With your support, we can make this community of science and discovery even bigger. Share your ideas with us, because it's always more exciting to explore the unknown together. As Carl Sagan said, reality may be much stranger than we realize. Science is the most powerful way to understand this strangeness.